Hey Clashers, everyone knows the feeling of having to attack the most annoying districts, the Dragon Cliffs or the Capital Peak. Super frustrating to attack, but today we are going to visit the rank 1 clan from Germany, the rank 6 clan globally, and they're going to show us exactly how to take those super annoying districts down. And let's start things off with the Capital Peak. A lot of people are really annoyed by having to attack this, but a lot of bases for a lot of clans have one big weakness in their capital peak, and that is they're surrounding their main capital hall by too many buildings. And that is something you have to abuse, and that is just so important, because with super wizards you can just splash all of those defenses around it, and that is giving you just such an insane value, and you should always try to abuse that. At this point, when we see the battle rams and the part like this, the super wizards, not the party wizards, but the super wizards swarming the base. Really big shout out to Splashes for allowing me recording those attacks, sharing them with you guys, and sharing some guides for the clan capital, how to attack certain districts and how to have an easier life in collecting your loot every single raid weekend. Big shout out goes to Akumaru, to Luca, and to Alex, who are playing all of those accounts in Splashes. And as you might see, well, that's kind of how the top clans roll. They're using a lot of second accounts and whatsoever. But this trick, by the way, this is something you should always learn in the clan capital, and that is how to take down those defending super dragons. I guess not the most, but it's just super frustrating. It's just super frustrating to take those out, and I feel like that is why the capital peak and the Dragon Cliffs are the most annoying districts to attack, because of this guard post, because of those defensive super dragons. And the Inferno Dragons is pretty much the biggest counter to that. It's really good to take them out. I feel like that's another thing you have to learn, and those top teams are abusing it quite a bit. And I think, by the way, after having the capital peak done, we should for sure switch to the Dragon Cliffs. But now there's another attack, or like the second attack for this one, as we have now prepared everything for this attack. But there's a couple of things I really want to highlight. The first thing, there's again a Pekka in the army composition. Pekka are super strong to distract certain defenses, which are dealing a lot of splash, which is like one of the biggest weaknesses to attacks like this. And take a look, he's using it to distract the rocket artillery. The next thing I want to really pay attention to is the spell order. That might sound like a really little detail, but that's actually really important. He has used the rage spell in the first attack, and now you might think it doesn't matter if he uses it in the first or second attack, because, well, it's going to last 2 attacks anyways, right? Not really. The reason why this order is really important is because it gives him more flexible for the second attack. Otherwise, he would have needed to use all of those graveyard spells early on, but this way, he can really delay 2 graveyard spells until the late stage of the attack. The reason why this is important is because the graveyard spells got nerfed quite a few times, even though they're still OP, by the way, but they were nerfed quite a few times, and the skeleton amount was nerfed and was reduced. The problem now is that if you deploy them in the beginning of the attack, really far into the base, you're spawning skeletons where none of your troops can follow up. And this is why it's really important sometimes to delay the graveyard spells, to make sure that the troops are spawning when you actually need them and when you actually need the spell. And this is the flexibility. Those are the little details which those top teams are actually paying attention to. So really nicely done to him right here. And you can see that this last defense is going to go down. But then again, take a look at this right side. There's still a really little island of defense. I think at this point we can just speed through that, because you guys will know it's going to be a 3-star in just 2 attacks. Pretty much, I think it is a maxed out clan capital, right? I mean, this is just insanely impressive. It's not easy to pull those off, but they're just getting it done like it's nothing. It is crazy. But now let's jump to the Dragon Cliffs. For the Dragon Cliffs, there is a couple of important things on your side and on the defensive side. On your side, it is the lightning spell and the Inferno Dragons. Archers are most of the time like a supportive tool, which you can use to get further into the base. The defensive side, the one big thing which you have to take in consideration are the guard post, are the dragon guard post. Really important to take down, and for that you have those Inferno Dragons in your army compositions with the super giant. They're perfect to distract and perfect then to give your Inferno Dragons the option to take those super dragons out. And this is the whole objective, to get the Dragon Cliffs out. Getting the defensive Super Dragons out of the village, because after that, the Dragon Cliffs are becoming quite an easy, accessible district, which you can then take down. Now the question might be, iTzu, what are the lightning spells for? Well, pretty easy answer. For every Dragon Guard post, for every Super Dragon Guard post, which is too far inside the base, which you cannot reach with your Inferno Dragons, for example, well, just use a lightning spell onto their buildings. Because as soon as the building of a Super Dragon is gone, the Super Dragons are free to move anywhere. As long as the building is alive, you can see for this Super Dragon, it will always stay close to that building. But if that building is down, exactly like you can see here, then the Super Dragon can move wherever it wants. And that is exactly what you want to have, because this Super Dragon Guard post was way too far in the base, and well, the attacker could not really get those troops to this stage, into that far into the base. And this is what the lightnings are for. Really important disclaimer at this point though. It is really important that you are checking the level of the defensive Super Dragon Guard post. Because depending on the level, you have to use different amount of lightnings. If your opponent clan is really bad and they have not leveled that, you might just take them out and just with 2 lightnings. But otherwise you might need 3 or even 4 lightnings, depending, as I said, on what the level is. That is really important. You always have to check that before attacking. Don't always think, okay, I always need this amount of lightnings. That's not how it works. So always check how many lightnings you need to take those guard posts out. The other spells which you're using then is most of the time 1 rage, and if the defending guard post troop is not that high level, then you can bring another heal, because a lot of times what you're using to finish the base then off is, that's right, Hog Riders. And for that you can just use a heal to get through all of those bomb towers. Hog Riders are, for like nearly always, one of the best options to clean up bases, and for this one it's the same thing. And now take a look at that. He's using the Hogs on the left side to lure the Super Dragon on top of that rage and taking them out quite easily. Really nicely done. Now trying to take down the bomb tower on the other side, which has not worked, so he can still use the archer. And then graveyard spell in there, triggering some traps. More Hogs are coming in. Now another set of archers to take down the bomb tower. Remember, you want to take down the splash. Otherwise, just the Hog Gliders. Just put them in there, try to put them surgically, and then it should be really easily able, depending on how clean you did your attack, take down Dragon Cliffs in 2 up to 3 attacks. That should be always the reach you're looking for, 2 to 3 attacks, while 2 though being really hard to achieve. But hey, if you get that done, you can be really proud of yourself, because that is not easy overall. And I think just to make sure that everyone understood what the important steps are, we are going to watch yet another attack versus the Dragon Cliffs and see again those fundamentals you have just watched, with making good use of the Inferno Dragons on offense and the lightning spell as well. At this point, the defenses are going down. We're jumping over to the next Dragon Cliff district. This time around, we have a district which is way more spread out. Is that bad? Is that not bad? For us, it doesn't really matter. All we care about are those Dragon Cliffs, are those Super Dragons, which are on the defensive side and just so annoying. Same approach on this one. We just take down the first Super Dragon. Now we're going for the next one. This time around though, we have a defensive air defense right behind that Super Dragon, which is sometimes problematic. So what we're doing, we're using Skeleton Barrel to distract the Super Dragon and the air defense at the same time, so our Inferno Dragon has no problem whatsoever to take down that Super Dragon. Really, really nice approach, just taking those out, and he's just keep going. Again, we have the air defense behind that Super Dragon, and that's why we have to use those Skeleton Barrel to really make sure that this air defense is distracted for as long as possible. At this point, we do not have any more Skeleton Barrels, so we just have to try to lure the dragon as far away from this air defense as possible, and that's exactly what Splasher is doing with this attack right here. Super Dragon is going down, and that's exactly what you're looking for. At this point, we have only 2 defensive Super Dragons still left, and for that, we have our Lightnings. Again, I repeat that it's really important that you're checking the hit points of those guard post buildings before you're going into the attack, to make sure to know how many of those lightnings you need. On this one, he needs 3 lightning spells to take those out. If they're better upgraded, you might take 4. It's, as I said, it really depends on your own level of the lightning and the level of the defensive building. But then again, as soon as you have lured that super dragon out of the base into your area, which you have already conquered, then it's again the same approach. I know it's kind of repetitive, but that's kind of how you have to attack those bases, those districts, which are so heavily focusing on just a couple of really strong tools on defense, and that's exactly those super dragons. At this point, at this stage, well, everything was lured. The second guard post is already down, so now you just have to take down this one super dragon, and after that, as always, it's hog gliders to take things out and take on the rest of the base. Now the giant is running from far right side. He's really slow, so that's good for him, making sure the super dragon is just locked onto that troop, and at this point it's already gone. And now you can start with those hogs, add them slowly everywhere, and the heal spell you should always then place on top of a bomb tower, for example. And the next thing, which is really important, is the supportive spells, which in this case is like Graveyard, which are heal spells. Are always relying on how many lightnings you need and what the base looks like. A lot of times on compact bases, a rage spell with your super archers is giving you incredible value. So you might not want to use the graveyard spells, or if you have taken down most of the bomb towers already, you might not need to use the heal spell. So everything then, the supportive spells overall, always rely on the rest of the base which is left after the first and highest priority is gone, which is the defensive super dragons. And that's the exact same thing on this one as well. Perfect timing. I think he even got the bomb tower before his main group of hogs went for that, but such a nice attack. Really nicely done. Really nice showcase of how you can take those districts out. And again, a huge shout out goes to Splasher for showcasing all of this. And at this point, I know how annoying it is to attack those dragon cliffs. And maybe you can now be the one person in your clan to always go for those dragon cliffs and be the team player right there. I at this point really hope that Supercell is going to increase the clan gold amount which you can get from the Dragon Cliffs, because it always feels like frustrating, because you just, I don't know, you have to attack one of the most hardest districts, but to get it in one of the least clan gold, which always seems kind of wrong. So I just hope that Supercell is increasing the amount of clan gold you can get from this district, which is then connected to how hard it is to actually complete it. But otherwise, I really hope those tips and tricks were helpful for you. You have now like a good idea of what to do when you have to face those Dragon Cliffs or the Capital Peak. And otherwise, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope the tips were helpful for you to get the next clan Capital Weekend done. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys back tomorrow for the next one. Until then, see ya and bye-bye.